Beside the Palm, episode 5.
Well, we're so official. Well, welcome to episode 5 of Beside the Palm. If I can get my iPad to work, I can ask questions. 5 is my favorite number, so I hope this is a good episode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, okay, so we have today with us Rob Landis. And Rob, you are the organist and artist in residence at St. Luke's. So welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll start off easy, as always. You have a long, interesting history with St. Luke's. Do you mind telling us kind of how your life has been intertwined with the church?
Of course. A lot of you probably have already heard this story, but I started taking organ lessons from Bob Bennett, who was the organist at St. Luke's for 42 years. And I started studying with him when I was 13 years old. And the church, the sanctuary was actually what is Fellowship Hall now. And I started taking organ lessons on the Hammond organ, which was the organ at the church. And when they started building the current sanctuary in 1959, after I would have my lesson, my mom, who had to drive me because I wasn't old enough to drive, we would walk over and look at the construction of the new sanctuary. It was such an exciting time. Then when I was 18, I became the assistant organist at St. Luke's, and I was Bob's assistant for a couple of years, and then I left Houston for a few years, and every time I would come back to Houston, I would stick my toe in the water of St. Luke's, and it was not only my church home, but it was my family. My mom sang in the choir there for many, many years. And so when they came and asked me 24 years ago to come back as organist and artist in residence, it seemed only natural to do that because I was ready for a complete change.
Yeah. I wonder, do you know whatever happened to the little Hammond organ that was in the original sanctuary?
It was in there for many, many years after I came back as organist. And then suddenly, one day I went in there and it was gone. I have no idea what happened to it.
Really?
I wish I knew. Yeah.
Huh, that's a shame. I wonder what's up in the attic somewhere. Maybe Monica knows.
She might. I hope it's up there somewhere.
Yeah. So if Bob was there for what, 40 some years? So you still have another
42 years.
So even another 15 or 20 then until you catch up, right?
Yeah, I've been there. I will start my 24th year, I think, in September.
Wow. I think I told you already, but this is my second year this week.
Yeah, so, on the 6th, right? The 6th
or
June?
7th, I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this weekend.
Right, that's exciting.
Yeah. So you began performing at a very early age, right? Piano?
I did.
Do you want to tell us how you got started and how you kind of discovered your musical abilities?
My dad was a cellist and played the piano. My mom was a singer, sang professionally for many years, and played the piano. So when I was 2 years old, one day my cousin, we were visiting my cousin in California, And she got me up on the piano bench next to her and began to play this song. It was called I Dropped My Dolly in the River. And she said, I have no remembrance of this at all, but she said that I played it note for note after she finished. And so when we came back to Houston, Mother and Dad bought a piano, and I remember the day that piano was delivered to the house. It's one of my earliest memories. Yeah.
Huh. Isn't that amazing how you can still remember the first piece that you ever learned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get many requests for it now.
Right. But... You probably will now after this. So everybody knows that you're a skilled improviser. Is that something that came naturally to you even at an early age as well? Or is that something that you've sort of worked on over the years?
No, it was completely God-given.
Yeah.
My teacher, Miss Caritza, with whom I began studying at the age of 3, and I gave my first recital at 4, thought I was reading music. And I would say, just let me hear that one more time. And she'd play it, and then I would play it, and she thought I was reading the notes. When I began studying with Bob, my mom came to my first lesson and said, do not ever play anything for him. And he put a hymn up on the organ in the hymnal, and I wasn't able to read it.
Really?
I knew the names of the notes, but I couldn't read music. So I give him credit for forcing me to learn how to read music.
Do you think that was your ability to play like that? Was that, did that come along with having perfect pitch, or is that, do you think they're separate?
No, I have a feeling that that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to identify the notes in my ear with the notes on the piano.
Mm-hmm. So when you're improvising, what are you normally thinking about? Are you thinking about what you're about to play, or are you just kind of thinking, oh, I need to let Power and Daisy out when I get home, and your fingers kind of go on autopilot?
That's a very interesting question, Jim. No, I think about what I'm doing and what key I want to go to, and but there are times when I do have what I would call an out-of-body experience. I always talk about this little man in me that plays the piano, and sometimes he takes over, and I sit there and watch, and I think, how is this happening? I don't know how this is happening. But most of the time, I'm in charge. I do think about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No, I don't think about the grocery list.
Well, I'm guessing that most...
Now, when I was working in nightclubs with my trio, I would go on autopilot.
Really?
And think about what I was going to do tomorrow, or the trip I was about to take, or yeah. But if it's just me, I have to keep pretty close contact.
So that surprises me. I would think it'd be the other way around, because I would think with playing with other people, you'd be trying to, feed off of them, or
No, we played together for so long that it was just, we would just read each other's minds and just go with it.
That's so cool. I bet everybody else was thinking, though, how is this happening?
Maybe so.
So in addition to improvising and being an organist and pianist, you're also a fairly prolific composer, right? That's part of your responsibilities as artist in residence at St. Luke's.
Well, I write every day.
Oh, you're already answering my question.
Okay, ask me.
So let me do my job here. This is my part.
Sorry.
So my questions are, what are your processes for writing a new piece, if you have any? How often do you write? And is there a piece or pieces that stand out that you're most proud of that you've written?
Jim, years and years and years ago, I became acquainted with John Rutter, who was an early hero of mine. in the church realm. And I asked him the same question. He said, I write every day. He said, I don't keep most of what I write, but I write every day. And so I took that as I guess as a structure for how I would go about writing. I write better if somebody comes to me and says, I need a piece. I need this. I need some responses. Over the years, Sid has said, we need this for the hymn festival, or we need this for the Christmas festival, or I need a piece for such and such, or someone else will call me and said, would you be interested in writing a piece for organ, handbells, and choir, or brass and choir, or whatever? And I always say, give me a text. I'm not a text writer. And so I'll be given a text, and then I don't ever write at the keyboard because my hands go into familiar territory.
Right.
Once I get it started, then I'll take it to the keyboard and maybe go from there. But the root of it always comes strictly from my head. And some of it's good, some of it isn't. And but I structure myself to write something every day.
Right. Is there something that you've written that you're most proud of, that you have a favorite piece of yours, or no?
Yeah. In 1979, I wrote a requiem for choir and organ. And Bob Bennett asked me to do that. And the choir performed it in 1979. And it's one of my very favorite things. I just love it. I keep thinking I want to rewrite it. I want to dig it out, and it's not on any sort of a computer because that was prior computer days. And so that piece is all written out strictly by hand.
Oh, wow.
And so I keep thinking I'd like to get it into a computer and expand it. It's about 35 minutes long, and I'd like to expand it and orchestrate it.
Neat. So I'm kind of going off book now because I have my own questions.
Sure.
What are you most at home with writing? Is there an instrument, or is it voices, or kind of what's the easiest thing for you to write for?
Organ and choir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with that, and I love writing for that because that's what my outlet has been mostly for the last many years. Since before I came on staff, it was always that's what people would ask me to write for. Maybe organ, choir, and an instrument or two, or brass or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what I love writing for that, and I love writing for organ solo as well.
Yeah, you've written a couple pieces for me now, and they're so much fun to play. So, sticking with music, but backtracking a little bit. So you have the trio, but did you also used to play in another group that people might know of? You might want to tell us about.
You've done some homework, Jim. When I was in college, I was a piano major, and I had a very volatile relationship with my teacher. He was wonderful, but never acknowledged any music other than classical music. And I was already working in theater and working in nightclubs. I worked my way through college that way. And I came in one day, and I was supposed to have memorized one of the Bach Italian concertos. And I had it almost memorized, and I got partway through it, and I stopped and I said, I just don't know the rest of the piece today. And he laid into me. And I very quietly put down the key cover of the piano. I wanted to slam it, but I was afraid I would break something. And I quietly put it down, and I said, I'll be leaving now. And he looked at me and said, what? And I said, I'm through. I'm I'm out of here. And I left, and I had been doing some work in the studio with a rock group, and they had been begging me to join the group, and I didn't want to do that. So that afternoon, I went to a rehearsal for a recording we were about to do, and I said, by the way, I'm yours. I've quit school. I'm ready to join the group. And I joined a rock group and was a rock and roll person for about 5 years, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And it was exciting. It was fun. I was young. I had no ties except that I did have 2 cats. And when we would go on the road for 3 or 4 months at a time, we toured all over the United States and Canada, set up residency in LA for a long time. My parents took care of my cats. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for that. And I was a rock and roll person, which it was fun. It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was a group called Fever Tree, and we had a national hit called San Francisco Girls. Let My Hair Grow Long, had a long Fu Manchu mustache. And I loved it. It
Wow.
was great fun. I was probably the only rock and roll person in the 60s who didn't do drugs.
Wow.
I did a few arthritis strength Anacin every now and then, but that was as far as I would go.
The most shocking thing of all that is that you had cats, to me at least.
That I had what?
That you had cats.
Oh, I had cats.
Yeah, and not dogs.
Siamese cat.
I even wore my dog shirt today just for you.
Well, dogs are my love, and dogs are far better critters than cats, I think. But
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that you love, do you want to tell us what your 5 favorite things are these days?
Yes, composing is probably my first love. Our home here, I love my home structure, which includes Roddy, and of course it includes our 2 dogs, Power Jr. and Daisy. I love to bake, and I have been a baking fool this entire time. You've gotten some of that. That's only 3. I hope this doesn't come out of left field, but one of my favorite things is my prayer time in the morning.
Really?
I get up early, feed the dogs, and then I take them out, and then I have prayer time, and that's very important to me. And then I guess the 5th thing would be St. Luke's. I miss it terribly. I go over maybe once or twice a week, and I miss walking in and seeing everybody. I miss Sunday mornings in church, looking out and seeing the people that are near and dear to me, and it's very important to me.
Yeah.
So
That's such
and I have to add a 6th one: travel. I absolutely love taking wonderful trips.
Yeah. That's such a great variety of things, and a perfect segue into my next question again.
Good.
I always joke that your title should also say Baker in Residence, because as we know, you love to bake. Do you have a favorite thing that you like to bake? Or a specialty of yours?
No, I don't. I love cakes, pies, and cookies. I guess making cookies is my favorite. I've really gotten into, since we've been home, I've been cooking every night, and I've been doing tons of sheet pan dinners. We are most primarily vegetarian here, and we eat a little fish. I've been doing some salmon and some cod and some tilapia, and mostly vegetables. And I've gotten to be a master at baking vegetables. They don't all bake at the same time.
Right.
So you have to know how to sneak them on the pan at just the right time.
Huh. We have to always, I think, as word has been getting out that you always bake for our staff meetings, I think we're gonna have to start locking the door soon when we're back at the office, because people always want to in on the action.
Well, I baked 8 loaves of banana bread yesterday, and I baked 5 loaves today.
What are you going to do with all of that?
I take it up and down the street and give it to neighbors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
We are going to make banana bread today too, but just one loaf.
Okay. Do you have my recipe?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Send it to Grace. Yeah, exactly. So let's take a bake. Let's take a break from some music and baking questions. Would you describe your perfect day or maybe a perfect vacation? What does Rob
wow.
Landis do on his perfect day?
Well, it always starts with the dogs, feeding the dogs. That is such a great time. Perfect day, probably a cool, brisk, sunny day, which we had about 2 weeks ago, if you remember. You're probably out there sweating beside the palm today, but
It's okay.
when you started this, the weather was perfect.
Yeah.
It was San Francisco weather, gorgeous weather. But all of us going for a long walk with the dogs and just talking.
Yeah.
And then I love starting the day with coffee and a sweet treat, and then writing. That always is a part of my day.
That sounds so nice. And don't worry,
Yeah.
I'm not too hot, because I may look nice professionally up, but as Ryan pointed out last week, it's shorts and flip-flops below the screen. So
Oh, please don't show the flip-flops.
I won't.
Thank
I
you.
won't.
Thank
Well, we're getting to my favorite part here, which is our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to set my timer here for 1 minute, and we'll see how many questions you can get through. You ready?
Go for it.
So in 3, 2, 1. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
What color is your toothbrush?
Blue and white.
What's your favorite key signature?
E flat. Oh, no, D flat.
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
The darker the chocolate, the better.
Name one fruit that makes you want to vomit.
Oh, all fruit mostly, except probably papaya. Oh my God.
Favorite adult beverage?
Bourbon.
Favorite season?
Spring.
Name a word that starts with the letter Q.
Quiet.
What's your favorite car?
Oh, my 1965 Lincoln Continental convertible.
Whipped cream, homemade or ready whip?
Oh, homemade.
Polka dots or stripes?
Stripes.
What's your favorite day of the week?
Monday.
When you fly on a plane, do you use a neck pillow?
I like to be in the next to the aisle. Yeah.
That wasn't my question.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you said.
Sorry. No, I said when you fly on a plane, do you use a neck pillow?
Oh, no. I thought you said what row.
Oh, sorry. But that's good to know too. Well, we're at our last question. And that is
Well, how many did I get?
Oh, I'll have to have Grace tally them up, because I did jump around a little bit to get to some of my favorite ones.
Adult beverages, I'm sure, was one of your favorites.
Yes, it was, yeah. So, as we ask everyone, is there one song or piece of music that you would want people to listen to right after watching this interview?
I'm absolutely enthralled with the French Impressionist composers, as you know. Ravel, Satie, Debussy. I just finished reading a biography of Ravel, and I rediscovered the Boléro, of all things, which is probably not considered to be one of the most serious pieces of music, Ravel described it as a piece for orchestra without music. And I found my small score, and I began to analyze that piece, and it's a masterpiece of orchestration. I don't know if you know this, but in one presentation of the theme, he does what we call on the organ a
Cornet.
A cornet, yeah. He has people, several instruments playing at different pitches, and it's just so exciting. And then, of course, by the end of the piece, you have to practically have a cigarette and a drink. It's just this big cacophony of sound and fantastic slides and gongs and things going. And I just enjoy listening to it so much, just for the masterpiece of orchestration. I recommend somebody who wants to hear something musical yet simple to listen to, going to the Ravel Boléro.
Yeah,
it's thrilling.
And Ravel literally wrote the book on orchestration, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
One of them, yeah.
Daphnis and Chloe is the book.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, this has been so fun today. I'm glad we got a chance to chat. I was looking forward to this.
Me too. Thank you.
Do you want to give us a little play out?
Really?
Yeah, just a little,
What would you like?
Oh, just improvise a little, closing music.
Okay. Thank you for doing this,
you.
Grace and Jim. Both of you are wonderful, and you have no idea how thrilled I am that you're at St. Luke's, both of you. Let's see.
Bravo. Thank you. We'll see you later.